The upscale restaurant in Virginia hummed with the clink of crystal glasses and the murmur of elite diners, the air rich with the scent of truffle oil and seared lobster. Drake sat across from Callum, his former friend, whose tailored blazer strained slightly at the seams, betraying his recent financial spiral. Callum had called him here for lunch, insisting they reconnect after a chance meeting at a Victoria Island cafe the previous week. Drake, now a thriving entrepreneur with a 40% stake in a tech startup, sipped his sparkling water, his posture relaxed but his eyes sharp, sensing the desperation beneath Callum's polished grin. Midway through their meal, as the waiter cleared their appetizers, Callum leaned forward, his voice low but edged with urgency. "Drake, I'm in deep trouble. Debts are choking me, bank loans, creditors, the works. You're a big man now. Bail me out, yeah? Just this once." His fingers drummed the table, his smile tight, expectant. Drake set his knife down, his expression calm but unyielding. "I don't have money to throw around, Callum." "Sorry." Callum's face contorted, his voice spiking, shattering the restaurant's refined ambience. "You're joking, right? I carried you for years, Drake. Paid for your drinks, your girls, got you into every party that mattered. Now I'm drowning, and you can't spare a kobo?" His fist slammed the table, rattling the wine glasses, drawing stares from nearby tables. "You owe me, man. You'd be nothing without me." Drake's jaw tightened, but he kept his cool, his voice steady. "We ran into each other last week at the cafe, Callum. Now you're here, asking me to wipe your slate clean? After everything?" Callum laughed, a harsh, mocking sound that turned heads. "Everything? You mean riding my coattails? I was the king, Drake. You were just the guy I let tag along. Now you're acting like some hotshot, too good to help your boy?" The restaurant fell silent, forks pausing midair, eyes fixed on the unfolding drama. Drake leaned forward, his voice low but cutting, years of betrayal spilling out. "Help? Let's talk about help, Callum. I was there for you, carried you through university, wrote your essays, taught you coding, saved you from bullies in secondary school, even took the blame when you got caught sneaking out of dorms. I gave you everything. And you? You kept me down, made sure I stayed in your shadow. I pitched a business plan, 70% for you, 15% for me, a tech startup with real potential. You said you'd think about it, then stole it, handed it to some shady investor who offered you less, just to keep me out. I overheard you at your penthouse, bragging to your friend about it. Said working with me would make me outshine you, that you liked me begging, at your beck and call. You even admitted to pulling strings, making sure my job applications never reached the right desks, blocking every chance I had to climb. You mocked me, told me to use my intelligence to buy cars and houses. Now that guy scammed you, your lifestyle's buried you in debt, and you want me to bail you out? For what? So you can keep living large while I scrape by?" Callum's face burned red, his mouth opening, then closing, no words forming. The diners whispered, phones subtly angled to capture the scene. Drake stood, his voice final. "You not helping wasn't a problem to me, but not letting me help myself, Callum. That was the height of evil." He walked out, the glass door swinging shut behind him. Callum, unable to pay the exorbitant bill, was escorted to the kitchen, sleeves rolled up, scrubbing pots to settle the tab. Unbeknownst to them, a diner had live-streamed the entire confrontation. By nightfall, the video exploded online, hashtags like #dishwashingCallum, #formerbigboy, and #VirginiaLeach trending across social media. Netizens tore into Callum, unearthing his history of flaunting wealth, belittling others, and mocking the less fortunate. The comments were merciless, his public humiliation a viral spectacle. Flashing back to 5 years earlier, Drake's life had been a cycle of loyalty and betrayal, tethered to Callum since their teenage years in Virginia. At 16, in the cramped halls of their boarding school in Winson, Drake was the quiet genius, top of the class, quick with numbers, and a knack for coding. Callum, charismatic but lazy, leaned on him heavily. When bullies cornered Callum for his flashy sneakers, Drake stepped in, talking them down, taking a bruise for his friend. When Callum flunked math, Drake stayed up nights tutoring him, even slipping him answers during exams. "You're my guy, Drake," Callum would say, slapping his back, promising to hook him up one day. But the promises were empty. At 19, Drake, struggling to pay university fees, asked Callum for a loan. Callum, whose father owned a chain of car dealerships, threw a lavish party at a Banana Island mansion that weekend, complete with champagne fountains and hired dancers. He invited Drake, paying for his drinks and introducing him to models, but when Drake mentioned the loan, Callum laughed it off. "Bro, I'm broke right now. You know how it is. Come to my yacht party next week, though, gonna be wild." Drake, swallowing his pride, showed up, hoping for a real conversation, but Callum dodged him, disappearing into a crowd of influencers. A year later, Drake faced eviction from his tiny flat. He called Callum, who was hosting a rooftop rave in the heart of the city, the skyline glittering behind him. "Man, I'm tapped out," Callum said over the phone, music thumping in the background. "But yo, swing by the party. I got a girl who'd love you." Drake, desperate, asked for a job instead, mentioning a tech startup he'd applied to. Callum promised to make some calls, but the application vanished, rejected without review. Drake later learned Callum's cousin worked HR at the firm, a connection he suspected Callum used to block him. At 22, Drake, still scraping by, pitched a side hustle to Callum, a food delivery app tailored for Virginia's chaotic traffic. He needed Callum's capital, offering him 60% ownership for funding while Drake handled logistics. Callum nodded, grinning. "Sounds dope, man. I'll get back to you." Weeks passed with no word. Drake, invited to Callum's pool party at a Winson villa, overheard him pitching the same idea to a drunk investor, claiming it as his own. When Drake confronted him, Callum shrugged. "Ideas are free, bro. Come to my club night next month, free VIP for you." The app never launched, but Drake's trust in Callum cracked. The final straw came at 24. Drake, working odd jobs, crafted a detailed business plan for a fintech startup, mobile banking for Nigeria's unbanked. He proposed a partnership. Callum would fund it, owning 70%, Drake would manage operations, taking 15%, external investors could cover the rest. Callum took the proposal, promising to crunch the numbers. He invited Drake to a yacht cruise off the bay, where Drake waited for an answer, only to be brushed off with shots of tequila and vague assurances. Months of silence followed, punctuated by invites to Callum's endless parties, galas, beach raves, penthouse soirees, where he'd dangle fake promises. "We'll talk business soon, man, trust me." One evening, Drake, invited to Callum's island penthouse to discuss the plan, arrived early. Through the glass doors, he overheard Callum laughing with a friend. "Drake's plan? Gold, man. But I gave it to James, better connections, less baggage." "Working with Drake?" "Nah, he'd outshine me, start acting like the boss. I like him begging, keeps him in his place." "Oh, and those job apps he's been sending? I make sure they get trashed, gotta keep him hungry." The friend asked why. Callum smirked. "Let him use that big brain to buy cars and houses like me." Drake's blood ran cold, every betrayal clicking into place, years of loyalty, sabotaged. Drake played it cool, pretending he hadn't heard. At the penthouse, he smiled, nodded, and deliberately withheld critical details about the fintech plan, unique algorithms he'd designed to outpace competitors. When Callum pressed for updates, Drake shrugged, still tweaking it. He began pulling back, declining invites with excuses, "Got a gig, man, busy." Callum, sensing the shift, called repeatedly, inviting him to a fashion week after party, then a charity ball, each time promising to sort out Drake's future. Drake dodged, his resolve hardening. Curious, Callum cornered him at a coffee shop. "Why you always busy, bro? What's up?" Drake, sipping his espresso, said calmly, "Got a job. Tech firm." Callum laughed, incredulous. "A job? Why slave away when you got me? If you wanted work, I'd make you my PA, run my errands. Easy money." Drake's eyes narrowed. "I told you I was job hunting, Sent you every application, dozens of them. You said you'd help. Callum blinked, caught off guard, then waved it off. Come on, quit that gig. I'll hook you up proper. Drake shook his head. I'm good. Drake poured himself into his work, coding late nights, networking with investors. He revived his fintech idea, securing funding from a venture capitalist. He owned 40%, investors took 50%, and 10% went to charity, a nod to his belief in giving back. The app launched, gaining traction for its user-friendly design and rural reach, making Drake a quiet millionaire by 26. Meanwhile, Callum's deal with James, the investor he'd handed Drake's plan to, collapsed. James ghosted him, relocating to Dubai with the funds, leaving Callum with nothing but a watered-down prototype that flopped. His lavish lifestyle, private jets, designer watches, endless parties, pushed him into debt. Creditors circled, and his friends vanished. By the time he ran into Drake at the cafe, he was a shadow of his former self, clinging to a fading image. After the restaurant fiasco, Callum's viral humiliation spread like wildfire. The hashtag dishwashing Callum hashtag trended for weeks, memes mocking his fall from grace. Blogs dug up stories of his arrogance, tweets where he'd bragged about owning Virginia, videos of him insulting waiters, posts shaming broke peers. The public feasted on his downfall, their schadenfreude fueled by his history of condescension. 3 weeks later, Callum hit rock bottom. The bank seized his island mansion, his fleet of Range Rovers, and his Winson penthouse, auctioned to cover unpaid loans. Headlines screamed, Virginia big boy bankrupt. His former crew, once loyal for his largesse, blocked his calls. Alone, he wandered the city he'd once ruled, a cautionary tale whispered in clubs and boardrooms. Drake, meanwhile, thrived. His fintech empire expanded, opening offices across different cities and countries. He got married, mentored young coders, funding scholarships for kids like he'd once been. Under Virginia's neon skyline, Drake stood on his office balcony, the city sprawling below. He thought of Callum's betrayal, years of sabotage, the pain of being held back. Then he smiled, the weight gone. He'd built his empire not because of Callum, but despite him. The city was his now, not to conquer, but to create.